So you're considering buying the Sig Sauer MPX 9mm? If you're just looking for a really cool gun, this is it. Then you can stop watching this video and go buy it. It is awesome. It's fun to shoot. However, it is expensive. It's worth the money, but if you have limited funds or you just don't want to have more than one or two firearms, whatever your reason is for not just running out and buying it, it helps to know what is your intent for its use. I'm a project manager. We have a word for this. It's called use cases or user stories. There's a gentleman on YouTube, I put his name down below. I think he calls it philosophy of use. I love that it rolls off the tongue. The whole idea behind a use case, philosophy of use, whatever it is, the idea is know what you're going to do with the firearm. So there's a popular saying out there that says the only good use for a pistol is to fight your way to your rifle. There's some truth to that. But let's talk about some scenarios, and then we'll get to how you might fit the MPX into the story. So you have a pistol, you got a concealed carry permit, let's make some assumptions here, and you're carrying whatever size pistol you can comfortably carry, and you might even have a backup in your back pocket, a little 380, I don't know. But pistols are limited in their capacity. Then we get back into trade-offs about which ammo to use in the pistol for what scenario. You know, the FBI went from, what is it, they went from 10mm to 40 cal to back to 9mm. It seems to be the sweet spot. All that's to say that there's, as I said, a bounteousness of trade-offs, and even in pistols, just choosing a pistol. You're minding your own business, you're in the store, you're outside, wherever it is you are, in a gas station, and you're attacked. Whatever the legal reasons are that you need to employ that weapon. The use case for that is close quarters, immediate threat. You know, you have no time to go looking for your rifle. Maybe it's in the car, maybe it's not. That's the idea for pistols, right? Now you make a leap all the way out to long rifle, you know, 16, 18, 20-inch barrel, maybe 223, 5.56 ammo. Those rifles are big. They're big. So really, not going to conceal that. I've seen it done, but you're not going to do it. Practically speaking, you probably have it in your home, your business, hopefully in a safe place. Let's just use the AR-15. 223 or 5.56 is effective out to 300 meters, even beyond. 300 meters. That's a little more than 3 football fields. I have an AR-15 and I'm not parting with it. The scenario that I might use that in, my initial thought was I would use it to defend my home. But my home isn't on 3 football fields of property. That's where the MPX comes in. That leap between a pistol and AR-15 is filled, that gap. Without this stock on it, it's short, it's light, it comes standard with a 30-round mag, plenty of rounds. My M16, I'm sorry, that's my Army days. My AR-15 is all the way out to here. And you're trying to clear your house, defend your home. They can see you coming around the corner. This fits the bill. A handgun, of course, is advantages concealability, rapid deployment, and then a long rifle, of course, long range accuracy, hunting, attack and defend tactics. The MPX fits nicely between the long rifle and the handgun, and I believe for clearing a house, for defending your property, I think it's an excellent choice. There is a limit to this, but a longer barrel will give you a higher muzzle velocity. So here I have some simple calculations. The Sig Sauer MPX 8-inch barrel gives me 1,230 average feet per second. Smith & Wesson shield with 3-inch barrel, I got 1,063 average feet per second through my chronograph. The spec from Aguila for the 115 grain 9mm is 1,150, which is almost exactly halfway between my measurements for the 8-inch barrel on the MPX and the 3-inch barrel on the shield. I'm assuming they used a 4 or 5-inch barrel to come up with their spec. I ran a graph on the ballistics for the shield's 3-inch barrel, the MPX 8-inch barrel, and the spec of 1,150 feet per second. It's what you would expect. The shield's lower feet per second give you a shorter trajectory, and the 8-inch barrel gives you a longer trajectory. And the real difference, there's no difference at all out the first 30 yards. Differences in the trajectory start to get interesting out past 40, 50, especially out to 70 yards, which is really not an effective range for a handgun. But it is worth studying when comparing the MPX to a long barrel rifle. So we'll get into that in just a moment. So I'm going to do some graphs for you very quick. I won't bore you to death with the geeky stuff, but you need to know the difference in ballistics between 9mm and .223. Okay, so I've heard some folks, at least 2 people, complaining that the Sig MPX was shooting too low. I don't know what the issue was there, but I can guess. And so I'm going to show you something here on the whiteboard that might help. That's a straight line between you and 300 meters. Here's you, and there's your target. Now forgive me if I switch between meters and feet and yards. Maybe I'll put some calculations on the screen to help clarify, but 300 meters generally accepted as your AR-15 maximum effectiveness range. Don't be beating me up on the YouTube here, but generally accepted it, you'll zero your AR-15 at 50 yards. So if you zero your AR-15 at 50 yards, you're going to get bullseye at 50 yards, and then again at 200 yards. So I'm going to put a 0 for bullseye. Those of you who are familiar with ballistics, so you can go to sleep now. But for the rest of you, here's how that's important. Your AR-15, if you're using iron sights, for example, the iron sights are about 2.5 inches above bore, which means that the top of that front sight is 2.5 inches from the center of the barrel where the bullet emerges. So you got 2.5 inch distance from this line to the actual bullet coming out. So when you zero your weapon at 50 yards, you're actually pointing upward towards your 50-yard target. So any target before 50 yards, if you're aiming straight at the bullseye on that target, is going to shoot low. Okay? So again, there's 2.5 inches here. Generally, you have to measure if you have an AR, whatever weapon you have, measure it. Since you're shooting upwards towards that 50-yard mark, the bullet's going to emerge out the back of that target and go up over this range. Of course, gravity's going to pull it back down. So gravity's going to pull it back down, and it'll eventually, at 200 yards, cross that 0 mark again. Again, plus or minus a few feet, but 200 is your second 0. Now this is again with the AR-15, all right? And then out at 300 meters, it's going to be an inch or 2 below the mark. You guys out there who are experts at this stuff, you know a whole lot more than I do, but they take a lot more in consideration here. Wind and atmospheric pressure and whatever else. For us novices, this is generally what's going on. Now, again, as I said earlier, with the AR-15, you have a 300-meter range. The MPX, I'm going to show you how you have maybe 70 to 100 yards to play with. Now, I'm not even going to draw that line out to 300 meters. We're going to go to 100. I've been to the range with the MPX, and I have not zeroed the weapon yet. but I did shoot at some targets out at about 60 feet, about 20 yards, and I was shooting a little bit low, shooting straight at the bullseye. I was still shooting a little low at 20 yards. Tells me that MPX, if they're zeroing this weapon at all out of the factory, that it's somewhere beyond 20 yards. Maybe it's 50. So again, let's choose our 50-yard line here. And now here's an interesting thing to note. I measured on the MPX a sight to bore distance of 2.9 inches. So it's almost a ½ inch taller than my AR-15, my Smith & Wesson MP15. So it's 2.9 inches. Which means you got to point even higher towards that bullseye. The distance between the top of that sight and the bullet coming out is ½ inch taller. So you're going to aim up towards that 50. And I'll tell you what I measured according to ballistics calculations. Let's see if I can find that one. Yeah. At a 50-yard zero, you never get a second zero. Remember, you've got 2 zeros here on the AR-15, one at 50, one at 200. Because this bullet has less powder behind it, and it's heavier, twice as heavy as the average .223. A 115 grain 9mm bullet is a little more than twice as heavy as an AR-15 .223, which is typically a 55 grain. So it's twice as heavy, it's got less powder behind it, and so it's not going to go as far. So you're shooting up at that 50, same as your AR-15, with an even taller sight to bore working against you. That, according to my calculations, you get to your 50 because that's where you zeroed it. But because it's losing energy already, by the time it gets to 50 yards, it's coming back down. So you're going to have that bullet go boom, like that. And I show it at about 80 yards, it's already 2 inches below the zero. So what you're going to have to do, and I'm going to do this down at the range. Well, I won't bore you with the zeroing of it, but I'm going to zero it down there. And I'm going to zero it at probably 25 yards. And I'll show you why. I did some calculations that at 15 yards, not good. At 15 yards, you're so close to that target, and you have to aim so high that when you come up, that bullet's going to go up like this, so high that, so you get your zero at 15, you hit that bullseye at 15 yards, but all the way out at about 72, 75 yards, that bullet's going to be, let's say this is 75 yard, that bullet's going to be over 5 inches above center. Not good. So 15 yards, don't zero to 15. Let's see what 20 yards looks like. At 20 yards, put our 20-yard mark here. You're shooting up, of course you get your zero at 20. And then I show at 60 yards, you're 2.4 inches. So we're going to put a 60-yard mark here. You're going to be 2.4 inches above center at 60 yards, and then at about 104, let's say 100 yards, that bullet's going to come back down and it's going to be about an inch below. So what you're looking at is you got 1 inch here, and what did I say, 2.4 inches here above center, 1 inch below center. So you've got a, if you add these numbers together, at a 100-yard range, you've got 3.5 inches variance from center. That's not bad, right? I mean, if you're going to shoot at anything beyond, say, 10 yards, you're going to be somewhere within 3 inches or 2 inches of your target. But let's look at that. That was 20-yard zero. Let's look at 25-yard zero. We got our 100-yard mark here, and 2.9 inches to the barrel from the sight, and we're going to put this at 25 yards. So we're shooting up again, shooting up, we hit 0. It hits an apex just beyond the 50 mark. Let's say 52 yards. We hit 1.1 inches above center. Not bad, right? If you can, at 50 yards, you can get within an inch of center, I think you're doing okay. So you 0 at 25, you get an inch above. Down at 80 yards, you hit 0 again. So you get 2 zeros. That's nice. So all the way from 25 to 80, you're going to be within an inch. The maximum you'll have is an inch off, and that's up. An inch up above target. And then, let's see, at 90, just there. At 90, you're going to be an inch below. That's a nice, smooth curve, I believe. So I recommend that you 0 at 25 yards for the Sig MPX 9mm. And that explains, I think, why some folks are upset about the MPX shooting too low. You're going to have to adjust that thing down. You're going to have to 0 it, I say, at 25 yards. So I believe, my suspicion is people are upset. They're going to the indoor range. They're shooting low all the time. So that's how I see it. Now, and again, back to use. The MPX, if your intent is to defend an area up to 80, 70, 80, maybe even 100 yards, the MPX is great. It fits that gap between the AR-15 and your handgun. Sig Sauer MPX pistol with PSB. That is the pistol stabilizing brace version of the pistol. 8-inch barrel, Gen 2. Here's how it looked in the box. It does come only in a box. There's no bag or case. Let's get right to the pistol here. I did have this already out and shot it at the range, but I put it back in the box here just to show you how it looked when it arrived. Okay, here you have, as I said, 8-inch pistol. Flip up iron sights. This is the arm brace. Sling. It's actually good quality sling. An additional strap. I'll show you that in a moment. 30-round mag. Owner's manual. You get 2 1913 short rails. You also get a sling attachment, and we'll attach that and show you how that looks. Allen wrench for attaching the stock. Here's a hand stop. Goes on the front of the handrail to protect your hand from accidentally showing up in front of the barrel. You don't want to shoot your hand off, so this is important. Of course, a safety lock. And some complimentary Lucas oil. And some other paraphernalia. There's already a 1913 rail across the top, by the way. Has an ambidextrous safety. Ambidextrous mag release. Bolt catch on the left side. Bolt release on the right side. One issue I did have with the pistol is, and I still have, is I can't close the ejection port door. Now, the spring on the little nipple here works quite well, but I can't get that door closed. So I'll see if I can resolve that. Now let's attach the arm brace. The 1913 rail. We're going to slide it up from the bottom. You can come from the top as well. You're going to tighten that down nice and tight. Okay. Now it is a folding arm brace. And what you're going to do in order to fold it, you're going to put your thumb here. Thumb's going to go right there. And you gotta push down there while pulling up on the actual brace, and it'll come loose. You can run your arm through the arm brace, and there you have it. Now this Velcro strap here will allow you to adjust tightness on your arm. Tighten that up. Sits there nicely. If you need additional brace on that, you have this. Just quickly, I'm going to attach the hand stop. Don't forget to attach this. You might think you don't need it. Just do it. It's safe. So let's add the sling attachment to the handrail. Got two pieces here. This catch is going to go on the rail side that you want this loop on. That little piece is hiding right in there. Okay, now we're going to put a screw right in there. That's this guy. So I'm going to hold that down with one finger. Now this hex wrench did not come with the pistol. I'm going to attach the sling. You got to push that little button in, and it'll snap right in there. That button right there, if you want to release it, it's a quick release button. Comes right off. When I put it back in, I suggest pushing the button in again. Then you'll see the button pop right back out. You know it's latched. And that's a good quality sling. It also has a detach right here. This attachment actually has stops on it, so it won't swivel unless you push the button in and move it over to the next stop. You can have it at this angle or 90 degrees, straight out. There you go. Some other items that I suggest you consider. I picked up a 20 round mag because if you're going to put it in a backpack, you don't want to be struggling to get the firearm out of the backpack. So I put the 20 round in the firearm, and I put the 30 round in a pocket in the bag. So I suggest picking up a 20 round if you're going to do something like that. I've picked up a angled foregrip from Magpul. We're going to attach that. A couple more Picatinny rails for the angled foregrip. Okay, I just want to give you a word of caution here for the uninformed. This is rated as a pistol. You must know that before you buy it. It is rated by the ATF according to the National Firearms Act. It is a pistol because the barrel is less than 16 inches and the overall length is less than 26 inches. So be careful. There's a few things you need to avoid. Do not add a barrel to this weapon that is 16 inches or longer. Do not add a shoulder stock that is going to lengthen this firearm to 26 inches or more. Do not add a vertical foregrip. That will also violate the law. However, if you decide to register this as a short barrel rifle, an SBR, I'll have a link down below. Study up on what you need to do that. Also, when you're at the range or wherever you are with this weapon, regardless of what you have in the back here, this cuff or blade or stub, do not shoulder the weapon. You don't want to apply it here. If you're going to bring it up and look close, make sure it's up against your chin, but you're not shouldering it. That will also violate the National Firearms Act, and the ATF will get upset with you. Do make sure that you understand that this handguard is Keymod. So if you buy any Picatinny rail attachments or any attachments that go on this handrail, you have to make sure that it comes with not just the rail and a screw. So you must also make sure that the rail you buy comes with that hardware. Now I'm going to attach some rails down at the bottom here for the angled grip. The Magpul AFG angled foregrip comes with an interchangeable finger shelf for A1 or A2 style, referring to the AR-15, of course. So this here has elevation on the finger grip, and this one does not. After some use, I began looking for an angled grip that might give me better control of the firearm with one hand. Vertical grips against the law, so that was out of the question. And then I came across this product by GVN. It includes a thumb grip that you put on the side of your handguard. Put your thumb on the thumb grip and your finger on the front of the angle grip. You now have firm and comfortable control, one-handed control of the firearm. As an added bonus, the GVN angle grip comes with this handy compartment where you can store tiny tools, perhaps a spare battery for your flashlight, a rag. I've put these tools in here and with a small rag so they don't rattle around. In the bottom of your hand grip is another storage compartment, and it's about deep enough and wide enough for a spare battery and some tools. My hand is blocking the light, so what I want to do is bring the light up. I suggest you install an angle mount on the top rail. Keep your light up and out of the way of your hand, and make sure it clears your iron sights. Okay, not bad. I think that's plenty bright. Get yourself a good quality red green reflex dot sight. And I say that because I had trouble at the range with a cheaper version. You see that on the weapon in earlier footage, whereby light in the range was making it difficult for me to see the green dot. The red showed up better, but the green wouldn't show well. This model here I have, I'll put the information down below. You don't need a big old fancy scope on this weapon. You're not going to use it for long range. Folks, another accessory I'd like to talk about is the loader. The no loader came with the weapon. And the only game in town, as far as I can see, as of the filming of this movie, this Academy Award-winning movie, is from RAE Industries, model number RAE 711. I'll put the information here as a link. Let's show you how that works. Before we do that, the weapon comes with a 30-round mag. You're going to want an additional magazine. They sell them in 10, 20, and 30-round magazines. Make sure you buy, if you have a Gen 2 MPX, make sure you get the Gen 2 magazine. What I did was, for comparison purposes and for making sure that I have a shorter option on my weapon, 30-round mag is 8.5 inches long from top to bottom, and it'll stick out of the weapon at least 6 inches, possibly 6.5 inches. The 20-round mag, and it will stick out of the weapon about 4.5 inches. So just about the depth of my hand. Not that I'm going to hold the weapon that way, but as you can see, it's 2 inches shorter. These are semi-transparent, so you can see there's 30 rounds loaded into this magazine, and there's 2 inches at the bottom for the spring. Oddly enough, the 20-round magazine has the same 2-inch space for 20 rounds. I did some heavy-duty calculus on this. For 2 additional inches of magazine, just this little space right here, you're getting 50% more rounds. For rounds per inch, the 30-round mag is the way to go. However, if you're looking for something that doesn't protrude from your firearm quite as far, the 20 is nice. I won't even consider the 10-round. It's not easy to load these magazines. So if you're buying a 10-round mag and you go through 10 rounds, and then you got to reload. You need a loader, and as I said, you don't get one with the firearm. I don't know why Sig Sauer did that. You know, for $1,600, whatever this, I can't remember exactly what the retail price is. You would think they could throw in a $5 worth of plastic. If you run out of loaded magazines, you're really not going to sit there and reload. You're just toast. So 10-round magazines, you better have a whole bunch of them if that's the way you're going to go. So here's how this works. Let's grab our ammunition here. Okay. All right, I'm going to show you a flaw in this whole thing, or something. I won't call it a flaw because it actually works, but I would like to see an improvement. But let's first show you how this works. So you're going to manually pick up, back up. You're going to pull this back. See this thing here. Pull that back. That exposes the tray. All right. You're going to throw 5 rounds in there. Get my hand out of the way. We'll do it this way. We'll do it left-handed. All right. You're gonna put 5 rounds down in the tray. Take your mag, put it in this well here, and zoom. Alright, the loading is easy. The only downfall is you have to manually drop these in there. And you wonder, you know, the time it takes you to put these rounds into this tray, could you have gotten them into the magazine anyway? The answer is no. So you just keep doing that till you fill the thing up. And but here's my suggestion to you accessory manufacturers out there, if you're listening, whether you're RAE Industries or Sig Sauer or any of the others. What I would like to see is, instead of me manually picking these bullets up out of this tray, putting them into this tray, I would like to see one where I could put it on here and go zoom and pull up 5 rounds and then dump it in and then do it again, and then boom, like that. See, because you could make one that grabs onto the lip, the back of the casing. Now what I want to do for you is weigh these. Alright, so just for the record, these are 115 grain Aguila. 115 grain Aguila loaded in both magazines. Let's get the scale fired up. Alright, here's the 20 rounder. You got 3/4 pound for a fully loaded 20 round magazine. Fully loaded 30 round magazine is 1.094, so it's 1 pound. So this is going to add weight to your weapon. So aside from an extra 2 inches sticking out of your firearm, it is going to be 1/4 pound heavier with 30 round magazine. Another thing I haven't found yet, an accessory I'd like to see, is an armorer's block for the magazine well. This is for my AR. Doesn't fit. Did a brief search online, not coming up with anything. If you see anything, please let us know. It is kind of early for this product. I'm suspecting there'll be a lot of accessories coming out. So as you can see, the ejection port door will not catch, so it won't close. And you can see the marks on the top here indicating that the plunger here is hitting too high up on the pistol. So what I'm going to do is remove the plunger. I'm going to file it down a little and put it back and see if that helps. So I have a very small Allen wrench here. Anything really tiny will work, and you're going to insert it there in that hole. Push the pin out right there. Now you'll see it come out if you can. I don't know how well that's showing up on the video, but I'm going to push through on this side. Now keep your finger on the plunger because there's a spring behind it, and make sure you have your bolt carrier closed, in a closed position. Okay, there's the pin. That here on my magnet, and out comes the plunger. So I'm going to file this down a bit, and then I may take it out to my polishing wheel. I don't recommend you do this. I recommend you take it to your gunsmith or send the weapon back to Sig Sauer. I called Sig Sauer about this, and they would not allow me to send the ejection port door back to them. They wanted the whole pistol, and I just wasn't willing to part with it. We're going to try this and see. You don't want it to be flat, so you want to keep a nice rounded bulby top on it. Turning it every so slightly each time I scrape. I realize this is kind of crude. Let's put it back on the weapon and see if we've accomplished anything. Okay, again, don't forget there is a spring in there. If you're afraid of losing the spring, maybe a smart thing would have been for me to pull that spring out. So again, be careful. If you lose this plunger, you're going to be really mad at yourself. So when you push the plunger in, make damn sure you get it as far down as you can. And don't let go, or that plunger's going to go flying across your room. Oh, sir, we're going to have to take off quite a bit more material, it seems. A whole lot more material is going to have to come off of there. Okay, I'm back. I went out to my grinder where I don't have sufficient light to have shown you what I did out there, but I will tell you. I took the plunger and I flattened out the tip until there was no more bevel, and then I beveled it. So I've taken off quite a bit of material there. So let's put it back in and see if that helped. I don't want to make a mistake and let it go. The plunger, I mean. I put the pin in. There we go. Our door closes. Pops right back out. Yeah, very nice. To take the pistol down is quite easy. Just clear the weapon. We have two pins, one on this side of the mag well, one here above the hand grip. As much as this form factor takes its inspiration from the AR, the MPX differs in the following ways. The bolt carrier group is not AR-15 compatible. It is a rotating bolt, but instead of a gas impingement system, it is a gas piston system. Piston is right here just above the barrel. The advantages: the gun will be cleaner and it will run cooler. The recoil system is integrated with the bolt carrier group. The AR has it in the buttstock. Here it's attached to the bolt carrier. And finally, the charging handle is not AR-15 compatible. By the way, it's a standard AR trigger. Any trigger kit that you prefer will fit. However, I have found this trigger to be just fine for me. The handguard comes off just like that, as long as you have the front pin removed and you haven't straddled the seam with any accessories. The barrel itself is removable. Two bolts right here. Barrel comes right off. And as of the time of purchasing this, only the 9mm barrel was available in 4.5 inch, 8 inch like you see here, and a 16 inch. There will be a 357 Sig barrel and a 40. The weapon goes back together the same way it came apart. Charging handle in the groove, push it down slightly. Enter the bolt carrier assembly. Put your handguard back on. And you're all set. Now we'll check the trigger weight. I got 7 pounds. Let's do it again. £7. Wow, that's pretty consistent. That's 6 3/4. So I'd say it's about 7 pounds or maybe slightly less. What I love about the trigger, maybe that's too heavy for you. I think it's fine. The trigger is smooth. So there was no grittiness. So I'm measuring a trigger travel of 2 to 3 millimeters. Forward position on the trigger is 34 millimeters from the front of the trigger guard. And on brake, it's 36 millimeters. I'm showing 2 millimeters. There's a little bit of play in the rearward position, but it's maybe a millimeter. So you're looking at 2, maybe 3 millimeters of trigger travel at 7 pounds, and it's smooth, no grittiness. I like it. I won't be upgrading it to any AR trigger, but But for those of you who have your favorite AR trigger, it uses the standard AR trigger. Okay, so we'll see what else we have in store for you. Hold on. Hello? What? Zombies? Where? Here? Now? Gotta go. Let's go get them. Whew, that was close. See ya. I've had this weapon at the range several times. Everyone loves it. It's accurate, low recoil, fun to shoot. It's a terrific home defense weapon. As I mentioned, my wishes are that we had an armorer's block for working on the weapon in a vise. I did have that ejection port issue, the door. As far as reliability goes, I've run over 500 rounds through the weapon now. And 115 grain, no problem. 124 grain, no problem. 147 grain, no problem. And I just kept jacking it up. I got myself a box of Fiocchi 158 and ran about 10 rounds through, and I had a failure to eject. 158 grain, I don't recommend. It is getting up there. You really don't need that. 150.